Terror sweeping through Europe with several attacks in the last few weeks. Earlier, I spoke with Douglas Murray, author of The Strange Death of Europe, Immigration, Identity, Islam, and what needs to be done to stop these attacks and why the U.S. needs to pay attention. Take a look. All right, Douglas Murray, thanks for being with us today. You talk about Europe being engaged in some kind of suicidal act where there are declining birth rates, there's mass immigration, there's this self-hatred, self-guilt, and there's multiculturalism that is destroying Europe. Why is this relevant to Americans?
Well, my feeling is that absolutely everything I describe in this book, it's a result of traveling all across Europe and meeting the people who've just arrived and meeting the leaders of Europe. My feeling is that all of the things we've gone through are just examples of things that America is starting to go through as well. It's just that we in Europe are further down the road. So to my mind, this is a warning siren to you in America, really, of what not to do.
And what is that? Is it the mass immigration? Is it what should it be? What should we not do?
It's a whole set of things. The first thing is the mass immigration. Europe has been taking people in recent years far too fast, particularly to be able to integrate them into European society. We don't have a chance at this pace. Second thing is to try to integrate people who are here. We've been terrible at that for all sorts of reasons I lay out in the book. And another thing is just the thing of not having this self-distrust and self-hatred, which is what we in Europe have cultivated for more than a generation, and which I'm afraid I see not only on American campuses, but in parts of American thought as a whole.
One of the things that I was reading in your book is the fact that Angela Merkel was engaged in conversations with Zuckerberg on Facebook, yes, trying to figure out how she could curtail, or they could curtail, the free speech rights of individuals who criticize her. So while you cut down this free speech of people who live in a particular country, you just open the borders to the world. I mean,
yes. It's extraordinary. Yes, you know, the peoples of Europe are very unhappy about this. And the idea that you would at this stage stop them from expressing that unhappiness is absolutely crazy. But yes, I think we need to be able to criticize her. I think we need to be able to criticize these crazy immigration policies. And I, at any rate, don't want to have to claim political asylum here in the U.S. anytime soon, much as I love your country.
Well, you know, one of the things that you talk about in the book is you say that you don't have a problem with change, but when change comes as quickly you know, as it's done in Europe, it will change the character of Europe. Is that a bad thing?
Well, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Countries and cultures change slowly all the time. But when they change at this swiftness, I think there is a very, very significant problem coming. You know, because I've traveled for this, I say, across the entire continent, and there are places in Europe now that would be utterly unrecognizable. This isn't about race either. This is about ideas. It's about the ideas people bring with them. And some of those ideas, as we have seen in the rise of things like Sharia courts in the UK, in the rise of extremism and intolerance, including intolerance towards women and ethnic and religious and sexual minorities, is really worrying.
Douglas, how do you have these Sharia courts in the UK? You know, there is a movement in this country and laws in about 17 or 18 states, American laws for American courts, to prevent the effort to have Sharia courts. How did it happen so easily in the UK?
It came in through the back door, really, in something called the Arbitration Act, where you can volunteer for arbitration as long, you know, pretty much in any system you like. And the Sharia courts offered to do it that way. They're still not meant to supersede British law, but I've spoken to people who've been judged in Sharia courts, and it's clear they do supersede British law on occasion. And why wouldn't they? They get away with it and nobody pays much attention.
What are your hopes for the United States?
My hope is that you can do rather better what we've done so badly. And I think, by the way, you have. I mention this in the book, that although you've got in America, as I say, lots of the thought problems that we have in Europe, albeit in a less developed form, nevertheless, you also have an identity thing in America that remains enormously powerful to people who arrive here. Too many people, obviously, that we read about all the time spit on the freedoms you have. But actually, the ideas and the ideal of America is something which people can really integrate into. And I'm afraid in Europe, Europe, we're stuck in a thing of not just finding it hard to integrate these people, but often people not wanting to integrate anyway. So I think you are starting off at a better place, but we certainly wouldn't be starting off from here.
All right, Douglas Murray, thanks so much for being with us today, and good luck with your book.
Thank you very much. Great pleasure.
Street Justice from Broadway, next.